Really what we're looking to do is to give you the foundation understanding of the way that we work in the psychology team at the clinic. So there's a certain amount of knowledge which, once you have an understanding of, means that all the other things that we do make a lot more sense. So Module 2 has quite a lot of different ideas and content in the core videos, which are then built on in a lot more detail in the support resources. So in the core videos, you'll have Anna and I talking about really the OHC model, what we mean by subtypes, and giving you some hopefully clear and helpful examples of what those are. The importance of a healing state and why that's absolutely critical in your recovery path. And also some content around being aware of your patterns and spotting some of the different thought patterns that might be going on. We've got sessions in there about the different subtypes, so going into each of them in a lot more detail. We've got some more overview stuff of understanding the bigger picture of how this fits together. We've also got some things in there around really starting to recognize some of the thought patterns that might be going on. Because with this module, once you've got an understanding of really how the psychology side works and how the thought patterns we're running can have such a major impact on what's going on, I imagine you're going to start to be curious to start to recognize and work with some of those thought patterns. So really, Module 2 is laying the core foundation for the work we're going to do with other psychology bits through Secrets, with the EFT, with meditation. So it's a really critical module understanding the bigger picture of how we work with things. But it's also going to start to give you some practical ways to start to look at things and understand what's really happening in your situation. So in this video, we're going to do a short introduction to what ME, chronic fatigue, fibromyalgia actually are. This is something that obviously we could talk for a long time about, but we wanted just to get this set up in such a way that we're all singing from the same sheet, as it were. Now, part of the difficulty is that, of course, ME, chronic fatigue, and fibromyalgia, depending on who you speak to, are different illnesses in of themselves, and there are different symptomologies that tend to go alongside them. But also, depending upon who you go to get a diagnosis, you may well go and see one doctor and diagnose one thing, another doctor diagnose another thing. And really also we need to bear in mind that these are really blanket terms for a whole range of different sub-conditions. I know that you've had the experience of many patients where part of the challenge is just understanding what's wrong with them, and what's actually going on for them.
Well, I think, when I was sick and someone told me I had chronic fatigue syndrome, I always remember thinking that, in essence, although it can be helpful, certainly it's helpful for a lot of people to get some kind of label, so you're not just going mad, and to know that it's something that other people have experienced. But chronic fatigue syndrome, to me, just told me what I already knew. Really, chronic fatigue syndrome meant that I was tired all the time, and frankly I could have told them that. So I remember even then thinking, and obviously the more that we've explored and researched, it really is a diagnosis of exclusion. And what we mean by that is when you've tried everything else and they've tested for everything else that it could be, they say, well, you probably have this syndrome. But the reality of it is, even in the terminology they're using, they're really telling you that they don't necessarily know a huge amount about it or about what's causing it. And as you say, what it really is a term for a lot of people who are experiencing a group of symptoms, but within that massive group of symptoms, each case will often be different, and each kind of symptom set will often be different. So the diagnosis itself doesn't necessarily give you that much information.
I guess another way of thinking about it is it's ultimately a state of burnout in the body. We talk about a diagram of the boat with loads on it, and effectively it's too many loads on that boat. Now, what those loads may be is, of course, different for every person.
Absolutely, and one of the things we realised really early on is that the thing about CFS, ME and fibromyalgia as well is that it's not an illness per se. What we mean by that is if there was an illness, there would be a specific pathogen, something very specific going on, and however much they've tried, they've never found anything that was common. A single thing that was common to everybody. What ME, CFS, fibromyalgia really is a process. And as you say, that's really the process of burnout.
Part of what can be helpful is to understand some of those factors that can be leading to that process of burnout.
Absolutely.
Because of part of the recovery path, we want to deal with as many of those as we can to effectively take those loads off the body.
Absolutely.
So part of what we're going to talk about in this module is really understanding what those different things can be. And as a clinic, we've developed what we believe to be a fairly comprehensive and iterative approach of all these different things that can be going on.